Ever feel like, there are these like unseen forces out there just like shaping everything around us? You know, those systems, the ones that feel just like a little bit beyond our control?
Mm-mm.
Well, today we're going to try to like pull back the curtain on one of those systems, the world of high finance, and really explore how it impacts our lives.
Yeah, it is kind of wild how often we like operate within systems without really understanding, the underlying mechanisms. And today we're diving into a realm where like a handful of institutions wield truly immense power.
And to guide our deep dive today, we're tapping into this educational article that breaks down this really fascinating video called, what was it called again?
Um Follow the money, find the truth, I think.
Yes, follow the money, find the truth.
Yeah.
And it really pulls back the curtain on what they call the big three in the finance world: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street.
And these aren't just like big banks, these are financial behemoths, right? We're
Right.
talking about like trillions with a T of dollars under their management.
Okay, so it's not just like about a lot of zeros here. We're talking about these three firms having like a controlling stake in almost a third of the entire global market.
It's massive.
Yeah, which gives them incredible influence over everything from like what companies succeed to even like what even gets funded in the first place.
Absolutely. And, here's where things get even more interesting. A lot of that influence comes from something that a lot of people see as like a safe and stable investment,
Yeah.
right? Index funds and mutual funds.
Right, the classic set it and forget it retirement plan.
Exactly. But there's this dynamic there that often goes completely unnoticed. When you invest in these funds, you essentially like cede your voting rights as a shareholder.
Oh, interesting.
And all those votes, they get bundled together and given to, you guessed it, the fund managers at these giant firms.
Oh, wow. So it's like imagine a scenario where everyone chips in equally on a group project. Sounds fair, right?
Right.
But then only three people in the group get to make all the decisions.
Yeah.
And it's like that's kind of what's happening here, but on a massive global scale.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. And honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It's starting to feel like we're talking about a level of influence that goes uh, way beyond just like, picking stocks here.
Oh, absolutely. This level of financial concentration, I mean, it translates to real world power, right? And we're talking about countless industries. Think about things that like directly impact your everyday life.
Yeah.
Agriculture, tech, even, the news you consume.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm really starting to see how these like financial threads kind of connect to so much.
Yeah.
But what about like the information we consume? It's interesting. This source also mentions intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
Specifically, they call it the CIA and this whole idea of what they call it, informational warfare. Like, what's that all about?
Well, it sounds, it sounds dramatic, but it speaks to the influence of these like powerful entities and how they can actually shape narratives, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like, back in the Cold War with like spies planting, coded messages and stuff. It's about strategically shaping public perception in a much more, I guess, nuanced way.
So instead of controlling what we read,
Hmm.
like in secret, it's more about like influencing what we even see in the news in the first place.
Exactly, yeah. And because these financial institutions often have like, they often hold significant ownership in a lot of these media companies. So it creates this sort of feedback loop.
Oh, wow.
Right. They provide funding, the media then shapes the narratives, and then public perception is, it's moldy in a way that often benefits those same financial giants, whether consciously or not.
Wow. That really makes you think twice about where you get your news from
Mm-hmm.
and who might be like shaping the information you're taking in. But if this like kind of power is so pervasive, like what can we even do about it? Are we all just kind of cogs in the machine here? It can feel kind of overwhelming, right? Like we're all just along for the ride when it comes to these like massive systems. But what I found really interesting is this article, it doesn't really end on a like doom and gloom kind of note.
Yeah.
It actually points to what they say is like a really powerful force for change. And get this, it's us, the consumers.
It really is. It's easy to feel, kind of small and powerless up against these like, financial giants, these huge institutions. But I think we often forget the collective power that we have as individuals. The choices that we make every single day. We might not be able to like, command trillions of dollars, but we do get to decide where our money goes.
So are we talking about like ditching the supermarket and only buying our kale from the local co-op now?
Well, I mean, hey, that's a start, right?
Right.
But think bigger picture too. Every time we make that choice to support a local business, to invest in a company that's, founder led, or just to become more conscious consumers in general, we're kind of disrupting that flow of money that just goes right to the top, right? To those mega corporations.
So it's about like redirecting our resources,
Mm.
like voting with our wallets, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of like alternatives,
Hmm.
this article brought up this really interesting example, something about like a regenerative farm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a great illustration of like a different model. This farm, they have like 8,000 olive trees and over 1,000 beehives, which is just incredible.
Wow.
And it just showcases, a much more localized and sustainable approach. They're producing food, they're supporting biodiversity, they're building a more resilient system, and they're offering a direct alternative to, these huge agribusinesses.
8,000 olive trees. That's a lot of olive oil.
That's a lot of olive oil.
And like a really powerful image, of what's possible. And it makes you wonder, like, what's one small change you, our listener, what's one small change you could make in your own life? What's one step you could take maybe today to like better align your spending with your values?
That's the beauty of it, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this like, huge grand gesture. Every
Yeah.
dollar, every purchase is a chance to kind of like cast a vote for the kind of world that we actually want to live in.
This deep dive has really connected some dots for me.
Yeah.
We started with, these financial powerhouses, then got into how their influence touches like everything from the food we eat to even the information, that we consume every day. But then we ended on this like surprisingly hopeful note, right? Like it turns out we're not just passive bystanders in all of this.
Not at all. I mean, I think honestly, the most important takeaway here is awareness. It's like by understanding these systems, by recognizing like the often subtle ways that they impact our lives, and by, even just questioning the narratives that are presented to us, we can start to make more informed choices.
So stay curious, keep asking questions, and remember, you might not be able to control Wall Street, but you can control your next purchase. Choose wisely.